Happy Friday, Miami Heat fans. Welcome into the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff, and we're doing something a little bit different today. We have never gone live on the channel that isn't for a breaking news trade, whether it have been Terry Rozier, the Damian Lillard trade, or a game. So we're experimenting with a little three-segment, if you will, show where we talk about the latest surrounding the Miami Heat live, interacting with all you guys. We're going to have producer Cullen with me today, and I'm very excited to do this for the very first time. And there's no better way to start today's show with how we always start our live streams. Shout out your city for me down below. Let me know where the real ones are watching from, as we got 38 people in the building early on here. Ty Man the Buckeye, Master of Rage, Hans, Ram, Daniel Barry, all in the chat, being real ones early here. Time Man's from Ohio. We got Master of Rage saying, Clell, where is the pick at 15? Hans saying, get Lonzo Ball. I'm in. Jay the Fox says, hey, Nick, Torrey Craig will soon decline his $2.8 million player option with the Bulls. Is that true? Did that come across the TL, the timeline today? Because I'd honestly take Torrey Craig on the cheap. Yeah, I see this right now. I'd absolutely take Torrey Craig as a cheap replacement for Caleb Martin if the Heat elect to do, though. Listen, there's going to be a ton of news, ton of rumors over the next week or so around draft time. I said this, like, we were in a little bit of a dead area in the NBA, and then all of a sudden the NBA Finals ends. We're under a week away, 7 days from the draft, and next thing you know, boom, news and rumors are flying everywhere. So we're going to have a lot to talk about, that is for sure. Rams watching from Homestead, Florida. Willie typing those 305s. Joe Pat, Hollywood, Florida. Heck yeah. Dane says this past year was not Heat culture at all. I agree. This past season was maybe one of the most frustrating seasons in recent memory around the Miami Heat, when you just take in the fact and factor in the expectations after making the finals, the Damian Lillard stuff. It was just a very disappointing year, man. But I think a good year is coming for Miami. Maybe that's me being optimistic, but we need a good year because I can't take these Boston Celtics doing their thing again. Jackson saying keep Jimmy. Stickman 904 Duval. Solomon saying need a big man. Shout out to John. Shout out Cullen. Help me out here, kid.
That Hialeah?
Oh, see, that I like that. I was not going to say that right, that's for sure. Mirage is watching from Florida. Jay the Fox is watching from Florida. As we continue to let people see that live icon go on their phone and pile in here, let's continue to create some conversation. Who do you want the Heat to trade for? Drop a name for me. And I'll even open this up to, like, if you want them to go out and sign and trade or grab a free agent, who do you want the Heat to add to the roster? But I think it's pretty clear, if you've watched the channel over the past month and a half, ever since our season ended, the number one guy that I want the Heat to trade for is Donovan Mitchell from the Cleveland Cavaliers. It will still remains to be seen if he will be available via trade. If he opts in and signs a long-term contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers, well, then the point remains mute. But if he continues to not sign, maybe he can get traded. But I'm still having him as my number one guy. Joe Pat agrees with me, still wants Spida. Jay the Fox says, I want them to sign Brook Lopez, but I doubt it. Well, it would be a trade for Brook Lopez, which we're actually going to be talking about on our final segment on today's live show of trading potentially for Brook Lopez, as he has 1 year left on his deal worth $23 million, and it's been reported now multiple times that the Bucks are likely going to reshape their roster around Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Therefore, Brook Lopez could be a casualty, and if he is, I think Miami should give a call, because he also was on a 1 year deal for $23 million, so you can add him to this roster to help compete this season, but also will be an expiring contract, which will allow you to be more financially flexible in the upcoming season. Something to keep your eye on for. Ram says Sadiq Bey and DeJounte Murray from the Hawks. Okay, that's interesting. Donovan Mitchell, DeJounte Murray from Daryl Smith. Willie says Donovan Mitchell and Lauri Markkanen. John says trade for Kuzma. I'm all in on a Kyle Kuzma. I really am. I like Kuzma a lot. I think he would be a really good addition for the Heat roster and fitting in between Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. I really like Kyle Kuzma. Joe Pat says, I like the idea of adding Westbrook on the vet min. I'll be curious to see what his market is, man. Does he get more than the vet min? I kind of lean yes. Like, he's probably going to get like 7-8 mil a year. Like, he's still semi-decent. But if he were to come to Miami on the super low, on the very cheap deal to run our second unit, I don't think I would complain. I'd probably get frustrated at him throughout the regular season, but at least during the offseason, I wouldn't complain. Let's continue the conversation and shift it to the NBA draft, which is, I always did the math wrong. We got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So there are four full days in between now and the NBA draft. The Heat pick at 15. Who is your top Heat draft target at that 15th overall pick? Drop the prospect down below that you want Miami to go out and draft. We're going to be having a lot of draft discussion. Major Anthony Nelson, remember, as you sent in that $20 super chat during the finals, that I told you I was going to do my big board for the Miami Heat at 15, and we were going to force to be putting Zach Edey somewhere in the video. Yeah, that segment's happening today, so we're gonna honor that today, Major Anthony Nelson. Just want you to know that. Master of Rage says, please get Khalil Ware. Jay the Fox says Devin Carter. S3 says Zach Edey. Axie says Khalil Ware. Jared McCain from Mirage. Eldridge says Edey. Filipowski for Axie. Duran Holmes from Randy. We haven't talked about him quite a bit. The center from Dayton. We got Nick and BPA. I'm getting drafted? I'm with it, Monty. I'm with it. Jared McCain from Joe Pat. Willie says draft Khalil Ware or Devin Carter. I got a lot of prospects that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a total, I think, of 22 prospects. We got 12 names for the 15th overall pick, and I also have 10 picks as well, or 10 players, I should say, for the Heat's 43rd overall pick in the draft. So we're going to talk about some draft prospects today. That is for absolute sure. And I see draft guard at 15, big in second round. Hero for PG from S3. Okay. Khalil Ware. Listen, Master of Rage, Khalil Ware might not be there. I'll say that. We do have some Super Chat specials today, though. How about this, Cullen? Let's have some fun. It's Friday afternoon. Our Raiders Report host always calls it happy hour. I'm cool with that. We want to have a Miami Heat happy hour. I'm with that. Any $5 Super Chat, I'm going to be doing 5 push-ups. $10, I got the Patron with me. It's a brand new bottle just picked up from the store. $10 shots there. $20 will get you into the Miami Heat Report Hall of Fame. I forgot to bring the basketball in here, so if someone sends a 20, we'll have to go grab it. But if you're a real one, you know, $20 gets your name on our Heat basketball, and when it's completely filled out, we're going to ship it out and raffle it off to a winner, which I imagine might happen in the next week and a half or so, as we're going to have a couple more live shows. So if we get some 20s to fill it out, we are going to raffle that off. And I'll also take a shot, too, for you getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. And then $50. We've done this before, but a $50 Super Chat, I get to crack open my Happy Dad early on and chug it. Me and Cullen will do a beer bong race, but there's also other reasons the Super Chat helps us grow the channel. Really does. Like, it's why we were able to grow so much during the regular season, while we're able to go live on a Friday. Like, if we didn't get Super Chats from you guys and show my bosses that you guys like the content we put out, we wouldn't be able to do fun, random live shows on Fridays like this. So we do appreciate the donations if you're able to do so, and then we just show our gratitude by trying to entertain some even more. Any question you ask, by the way, will be featured too. If you send like a $2 Super Chat, it will get on screen, so don't you worry about that. Yeah. 56 people watching, only 16 likes. Come on, Heat fans. That's not good. You know, you guys are veterans. Y'all are veterans. Y'all know you have to hit the thumbs up button. We have a very fun show to talk about today, and we need to get to 28 likes before we can start. That's only 11 away. Now we're only 7 away. Hit that thumbs up button if you love the Miami Heat and want the real show to start, because we do have a very fun show on tap for all of y'all today. Coming up live, We got the latest Miami Heat rumors. We got my big board, as I mentioned previously. And then the last segment on today's show, trade for Paul George. But we're also going to talk about Brook Lopez as well. So you better be on the lookout for that, as that is going to be a fun segment to talk about. 62 people watching. We are 3 likes away from starting the show. We're at 25. We need at least 28. Come on. Hit that thumbs up button.
We'll hit that thumbs up button, but Jay the Fox has a question, Nick, that I think you need to answer, and I'm going to let you take the floor on it because we're excited for it.
You will, you probably think you meant to ask, will you be live on the Heat Report during the draft, Nick? Question, will we be live for the NBA draft? Answer, abso-freaking-lutely. We will be live for the draft. So what we're going to do, and you might have heard me say this quite a bit throughout the regular season and throughout the offseason, I do lead our NBA draft coverage here at Chat Sports, so my obligations is, in fact, with our main Chat Sports channel. So I'll be live there for the entire draft. But I am not leaving my Heat brethrens out to dry. We are going to be simulcasting on Heat, so I'll be live on the NBA Chat Sports channel as well as the Heat Report. So we'll still be able to answer your questions on the Heat Report, and we'll still tailor some of the conversation to Miami, but we are going to have a broader, net, I should say, and broad conversations about the entire NBA. So we will absolutely be live. So if you have nothing else to do on Wednesday night and want to talk Heat basketball and see who the Heat pick live on Wednesday night at 15 and react and see my reaction, make sure you're subscribed and turn on those notifications so you don't miss it. We need one like to get today's show started. Come on. We're at 27 likes. I set the bar at 28. We need one. Who is it going to be to get us over the edge? Come on.
There we go.
There we go. All right, 28. Like Carter Reimer says, I was the 28th. You know what, Carter? I actually believe you, Carter. So thank you for doing that. And with that being said, let's get into our first segment of today's show, which is the latest rumors surrounding Donovan Mitchell and Jimmy Butler. Welcome to the Heat Report by Chat Sports. You need to be subscribed. And I was looking at some analytics, and over the last 2 weeks, 61% of our viewers are not subscribed. You need to change that because over the course of the offseason, we are going to have everything covered when it comes to the draft, trade rumors, free agency. So don't miss out and make sure you stay locked in with us here at the Heat Report as we're on the road to get to 12K subscribers. Let's get today's show started. Jimmy Butler, is he going to get traded? An NBA reporter, I could say, predicted a Butler trade. And then also, conflicting Donovan Mitchell rumors. Is he going to sign that 4-year long-term extension with the Cleveland Cavaliers? Or is he not gonna and get dealt this offseason? We'll kick things off with Jimmy Butler because he is the main topic on the Miami Heat right now. And this is coming in from Howard Beck, who is a reporter for The Ringer. I mean, not the most reliable guy, but does have over 118,000 followers on Twitter, so it's not like it's nobody. He said today that Jimmy Butler will be traded. Rival executives have been buzzing about it for months, for all the obvious reasons. Butler is about to turn 35 with a lot of hard miles and a lot of injuries. I know that there are some fans out there that want Jimmy traded and are open to it. I'm just here to tell you right now that the Miami Heat are simply not going to trade Jimmy Butler. Is Howard Beck on the payroll of Daryl Morey and the Philadelphia 76ers? What is happening here? The Heat aren't trading Jimmy. Pat Riley is not going to want to go into a rebuild. So why would he deal away Butler at this point in time? He's going to want to compete and try to finish out this build with Jimmy, as Pat Riley himself is over 80 years old. He's not going to stick around for a rebuild. He wants to try to compete now. And I got to be honest, I'm absolutely fired up. Did you see what Jason Tatum said today? That freaking loser. I want you to know that I wanted to use a bigger word than frickin', and I really toned it down for you. He said that the Heat are always easy. Going into Miami is easy. I get it. You just won the NBA championship. You're riding a high. You can talk your shit. But here's the thing. It's never been easy. It's 2-1 in favor of Miami when the Heat and Celtics match up fully healthy in the postseason since Jimmy Butler joined the team. I can't stand and take what the Boston Celtics are trying to put out there when Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They are losers, and the Heat need to get back healthy, upgrade the roster. I don't want to get rid of Jimmy. Bring his ass back. Get better pieces around them to punk those losers in Boston. They're front running because we were banged up last year, man. I can't stand it. I need Jimmy Butler on this team. I need him back, healthy, with a better supporting cast so we can go out there and show the Celtics that they were lucky we got injured. God damn, I hate them. I'm fired up, man. If you're with me forever and always, spam it. F Boston down below. I want to see millions. As many comments, as many views as we have on this video, I should see F Bostons in the chat. F those losers. Come on, spam the F Bostons down below. All right, let's shift the conversation to Donovan Mitchell now because there's a ton of conflicting rumors on the Spider and what is going on in Cleveland. We start with this. A Heat legend, Udonis Haslem, went up on Get Up, ESPN, and was talking about Donovan Mitchell. And he mentioned that I don't know if he's really interested in going back to Cleveland. I don't think Cleveland is his first choice. I think he might really want to get out of Cleveland. If you look back when he was traded to the Cavs, Cleveland wasn't even on his radar of teams where he wanted to go. It was New York. It was another team down south somewhere. I ain't going to say no names, but it was other teams that he was talking about going to. Cleveland was never on the list of teams that he wanted to go to in the first place. In Udonis Haslem, we trust. Doing the Lord's work on ESPN, giving Miami some love. But on the real, though, I have tried to say this, and that's been one of my leading points here on the Mitchell stuff over the past month. When he was dealt from Utah to Cleveland, he didn't really have that much say in the matter. But it was pretty wide known that he wanted to go to Miami because he trains in the 305, is best friends with Bam Adebayo, or he wanted to go to New York because that's where he's from. And I don't think that changed. He still wants to play with Bam in Miami, if you're asking me. Now, the question is, what will he do? Will he actually follow through on those thoughts that I think and many believe he has, or will he stay with the Cavs? He is the biggest domino in the entire NBA offseason. It's not like Damian Lillard last year, in my opinion, where it's people are holding out. Free agents are waiting to see what happens with Dame. Because if Dame ended up getting traded to Miami last year, the entire landscape of the NBA would have been different because different trades, different moves didn't happen. But for instance, Kelly Oubre, Campaign, some of these guys were waiting to come to Miami. And if the trade happened, they would have signed as on the vet min to help the Heat bench in July rather than waiting till August to sign with their respective teams. I don't think that's going to happen with Donovan Mitchell, but I do believe some teams are going to be waiting to see what Donovan Mitchell decides to do before they go ahead with the rest of their offseason. I just hope the decision happens much more quickly than the Damian Lillard situation, so we don't have to wait 2 months. I'll say that. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we are going to have daily coverage of the Miami Heat. We said it off the top. There is not going to be a better place for Heat coverage on YouTube. Stay locked in with us as we have the latest draft news, rumors, and more on your Miami Heat. I'm just going to continue to talk about Donovan Mitchell here because he is the 3-level scorer that Miami absolutely needs to help Jimmy and Bam. He can do it from the 3-ball range. He can do it attacking the cup, getting to the free throw line. There's just a million different things that Donovan Mitchell can bring to the table, and the efficiency that he displayed in the postseason this year and in the past is something that is really intriguing to me, and it's why I just simply need Donovan Mitchell in Miami. Now, there is some conflicting rumors when it comes to Mitchell and what he's actually going to do. We talked about how Udonis Haslem believes that Mitchell is going to opt to not sign an extension and ultimately be traded. Michael Scotto, who is a NBA insider, has different ideas. He reported that the Los Angeles Lakers, Philadelphia 76ers, Miami Heat, Houston Rockets, and Brooklyn Nets are under the impression that Donovan Mitchell is extending with the Cleveland Cavaliers this offseason, multiple sources told Hoops Wire. My initial reaction to this is I'll believe it when I see it. I think that he's been pretty consistent in his reports that Mitchell is going to sign a long-term extension and he is not going to leave the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I'm not going to react to that information and believe that until I see the breaking news Donovan Mitchell has signed a long-term deal with the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's just how I feel. But predict it for me. Will Donovan Mitchell stay in Cleveland? Type S if you think he signs the long-term deal. Type L if he doesn't and ultimately gets dealt this offseason. I'll close out the show with this. I want Donovan Mitchell the most. I want him badly. I desperately want him to be a member of the Miami Heat. But even if he does stay with Cleveland and sign a long-term deal, I'm not going to be stressed. There's other way to improve the roster. There is. It's not like last year where it feels like it's Damian Lillard or bust. If we miss out on D-Mitch, that's fine. Take a look at Trae Young. Take a look at Kyle Kuzma. Take a look at Paul George. Many trades to get better on the margins like Brook Lopez to add size and spacing on the offensive end. There are many ways to make moves that aren't blockbuster all-NBA guys that make you better and have you as a better competitive and team that can compete in the Eastern Conference. So, Pat Riley, you better have a plan in place, my friend, because if we just run it back, you're going to lose some of the fan base. You're not going to lose me. I'm not going anywhere. But maybe I should because it's going to be a frustrating season if they just run it back. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. If you have any questions or just want more Miami Heat news, rumors, memes, content, whatever you want in between shows, follow me at Nic_Rohloff on Twitter. Go Heat. I'll see you with a video tomorrow. All right. First segment in the books. Let me know. What do you think Donovan Mitchell does? Type S for stay or L for leave with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Colin, what do you think happens?
I'm in the same line of thinking as you. I think he leaves. I think he ultimately goes to whether it be the Heat, whether it be the Knicks, somewhere. I just cannot see Donovan Mitchell signing an extension and playing the next 4 or 5 years in Cleveland where, like you said, man, it was never one of his original destinations, and we haven't received any reports that he's committed to Cleveland's kind of, building process there. It just doesn't seem right to me.
I just don't know why he would stay. Does he really think they're going to build a team around him to win long term? Listen, there are many players in the NBA that are just more focused about getting paid to play basketball. That's fine. You're making a lot of money to do it, and you're going to have a good old time with your life, just no stress playing basketball for money. But I like to believe that Donovan Mitchell is cut from a little bit of a different cloth. He's a fiery competitor. He wants to win, and I think he realizes that he will not be able to do it in Cleveland with Darius Garland as his backcourt mate, and then his other two best players being Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. And if he realizes that, then he'll probably leave. But if he even signs a long-term deal, how is Cleveland going to get better than what they are now? Who are they going to go trade for?
Yeah.
Who are they going to sign? Cleveland's not a destination where free agents want to go to. So they'd have to acquire a running mate for D-Mitch via trade.
Yeah.
And I just don't think they are a place that are in a place that are going to be able to do that. So that's why I do think they're going to leave.
The only thing I would slightly say is if they're willing to move off of Darius Garland, could they potentially shift?
Which might happen.
Could that potentially intrigue it? But the clock's kind of ticking for Cleveland, right? Because, ultimately you have to get this extension done if you want to by a certain date. I don't know. I feel like the odds are stacking day by day more against the Cleveland Cavaliers for Donovan Mitchell. That's just me. We've got some, leaves from Raphael. Mirage, yes, we are going to be live for the draft. Rolly is going to be live on both the Heat and our main channel.
You know what? I was going to leave y'all hanging, man. We were going to be live. We're always going to be live for the big moments. I'm contemplating going live for free agency because I believe we'll be live for NBA free agency on our Chat Sports channel. And, would you guys want me to simulcast that too and just be live on both channels once again? I mean, we don't know the exact plan for that, but, if you guys want me to be live for free agency as it starts on Sunday evening at, 5 p.m. Central, or 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. If you want me to be live for that, we'll be live on both channels once again. I don't know how active Miami will be early on, but we could still hang out, react to other moves, and talk about what the Heat can do. So let me know if you'd like to be live for that. Let's showcase the Super Chat menu again before we get into the next segment. But Ram says we should sign and trade Caleb Martin. I mean, that's all dependent on who signs him, right? If the other team can sign Caleb Martin without having to acquire him via trade, then there's no need for them to do a sign and trade. But the Cavs, in order to sign Max Strus last year to the deal that they needed to do, they had to do a sign and trade because of their cap situations, and it just helped out Miami because it got them a second-round pick, right? So
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Ram says, what do you think about Clay? No. He wants money, which I understand, and even if Miami had $30 million in cap space, I would not give it to Klay Thompson. That is for damn sure. That brother is cooked.
He's headed to Florida, just not to Miami.
That brother is cooked. Yeah, he's going to be in Orlando Magic.
I agree.
You, my friend, are a Magic. See a couple people saying go live. I think we'll give the people what they want. No point not to, right?
I don't see why not.
No point not to.
Don't see why not.
Monty 2K question. If Cleveland wants Hero and Triple J, I love Triple J, but we have the best scouting team in the league to find Heat culture type players. Yeah, I mean, we've had this conversation in the past. We're not going to do it that much today. I wanted to give an update on Donovan Mitchell. But unless it's confirmed that he's not signing an extension, we probably won't talk about what we trade to Cleveland. I'll just give brief updates like that one on what he's doing. But the Heat fans that want to hold on to Jovic and Jaquez, so we don't get dematched, what are we doing? Do you want to win with Jimmy and Bam or not? I love Jovic and Jaquez more than you guys probably do. I know actually for a fact. I know, maybe not Jaquez, but I know for a fact I like Nikola Jovic more than you guys do. He is my sweet prince. Go back last year. I borderline said he was untouchable for Damian Lillard. But when it comes to Donovan Mitchell, he's got to go. If they ask, he goes. It just happens. It just is what it is. Jovic has a lot of potential. So does Jaquez. But to get a 27-year-old that is already as good as Donovan Mitchell is, to be the dynamic duo to Bam Adebayo for the next 7 years in Miami, as those two are best friends and on the same time frame, but also try to help Jimmy win a ring, it just has to be done. If the opportunity is there, you better fucking do it. You better freaking do it. All right. I don't know. Is the chat behind for you?
A little bit, maybe.
I don't know. I was just wondering because, I asked it to go live, and it took a while for the people to respond to that, and I'm surprised no one said anything to me saying that I'm sending them away. But maybe it's a quiet day.
Maybe.
James says, will you be disappointed if there's no roster movement at all after the draft ends? No, I wouldn't, because there's a lot of moves that can be made after the draft, and sure, maybe the Heat make a trade on draft day with the 15th pick, because as soon as the draft starts, they can trade it. They can't trade it now. They could not trade the 15th pick right now, just due to CBA rules of not trading back-to-back first-round picks, because they already have the 25 first-round pick traded, so they can't trade 24 unless it's on draft night. So maybe draft pick one's on the clock and Miami makes a blockbuster deal. I don't see that happening. So I would expect Miami to make a pick on night one. Maybe I'm wrong, but here's the thing. They could always trade that player. And whoever that young guy is, he could be in the trades to go to other teams. Which always sucks, too, because you get mentally attached to them, even though they've never played for you. You just say the Heat draft Jared McCann at 15. and you talk yourself like, oh, this is going to be dope. Like, I love Jared McCain. Like, he's going to be good. And then you're like, oh, shit, we got to trade him. But, like, if you never drafted him and you're just trading the 15th pick, well, then you don't give a shit because you never got attached to that one person.
Exactly.
It's funny how that works.
So true.
Jay the Fox, we'll see. I don't know. There will be moves for sure, but a lot of moves, probably not. We made, 3 moves in free agency last year? We traded Victor Oladipo. We traded Max Strus. We signed Josh Richardson and Thomas Bryant and then re-signed Kevin Love. So we made about 5 moves in the first 3 days of free agency. Probably take the less on that again. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd probably take the less, though. Probably take the less. All right, let's get into it. We're talking some NBA draft now. This is Rolly's big board. Not draft targets that the Heat have been mentioned. This is what I would do if I'm the Miami Heat. Where I rank prospects, I've scouted all of them. This is what I would do if I was Miami, coming up right now. Big board time. Yep, that's what we're doing on today's show. I am Nic Rohloff. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I rank the top 10 players that I have for the Miami Heat at 15. So I kind of put this in terms of, do I think they'll be there? And if they are going to potentially be there, I rank them in what order I would draft them. Plus, I also have 10 draft targets for the 43rd overall pick that the Miami Heat have in the second round. That's on the later portion of today's show. But before I give you my big board, let me know, who do you want the Heat to draft at pick number 15? Could be Khalil Ware, could be Jared McCain, could be Ron Holland. Name a prospect down for me in the comment section. All right, before we actually get into my real list, I did want to throw this out there because I've talked about it in the past and on Twitter. My number 2 overall player, not for the Heat, for the entire draft class, is Nikola Topic, the point guard from Serbia, who's 6'5", 6'6". He's one of the best playmakers and ball handlers in this draft. He's also super young. He does have a partially torn ACL, which has caused him to potentially slide in the lottery. And there's some that speculate that he could fall out of the lottery, which is where Miami Heat is picking at 15. If he is there at 15, I am sprinting, I am not walking, I am not jogging, I am not running. I am in a full-on dead sprint to the podium to get Nikola Topic to the 305. But with that being said, I'd be absolutely stunned if that was the case, which is why I don't put him on the big board. But if he somehow unbelievably falls, that's my top guy. The most realistic option is Jared McCain, and he is my number 1 draft guy for the Miami Heat. And when you look at what my actual big board is, which maybe I can release it on Twitter or not, he is my 9th overall prospect. I absolutely adore Jared McCain and think he could be a great fit for the Miami Heat. He has a quick and repeatable jump shot, no matter if it's off the catch or if it's off the dribble. And something that would fit Miami quite well is that how good he is at moving off the ball. I think he could play in a Klay Thompson-esque role, running off screens and drawing out defenses and really just adding more diversity to the Miami Heat offense. But he's also a natural playmaker as he was a point guard playing in high school. He's also a good defender. Good strength, quickness. He can really get into you and play physical on the defensive end of the floor. So to me, he's just a shorter Duncan Robinson in terms of his role with Miami, but also plays defense. I kind of compare him to Wesley Matthews. I like Jared McCain quite a bit. Devin Carter is my number 2 guy, the guard/forward from Providence. On my big board, I actually have him as the 10th overall prospect. He is a Miami Heat basketball player through and through. He's 6'2", with a 6'8" wingspan. He plays at 100% full speed at all times. I said he was 6'2". He averaged 8.7 rebounds a game in the Big East for Providence. Unheard of. Also shot 37.7% from 3, so he can score the basketball, man. And his ability to fit in any role offensively is just so enticing for me, which is why I think he'd be a great role player from day one on Miami. Turns the ball over a little bit, one of his biggest knocks, but he can defend, he can shoot it, he can score, he can rebound, he can do it all. I compare him to a guard version of Josh Hart. My number 3 guy, Kel'el Ware, the center from Indiana. A little bit lower on my big board and compared to the other two, but he is the 3rd guy for me in terms of Miami. The 14th overall prospect on my big board, who's 6'11", just almost 7 feet tall, 7'4.5" wingspan, really good measurables and size that could benefit Miami as they need to add more size, but they need functional size. And that's what Ware could bring as someone who shot 42.5% from 3 last year, only 1.3 attempts a game, but I do think that it can be scaled to a 3.5, 4 attempts a game type guy where he's shooting 36, 37% from 3. Really good rim protector. The only question for him is his motor, as he took a lot of plays off, and his work ethic is a question. But if Pat Riley checks both those boxes, the talent is absolutely undeniable for Kel'el Ware out of Indiana. Still got some guys to talk about on this show, but I just want to give a little programming note. We're going to be live for the 2024 NBA Draft Wednesday evening when that commissioner, Adam Silver, takes the podium. We will be live, so hit that sub button and join us on Wednesday night. Number 4, Tristan da Silva, the wing from Colorado. Older prospect, but I really like what his fit would be in Miami. He's actually my 15th overall player on my big board in total, which is where the Heat are picking. 6'8", 6'10" wingspan. Just an all-around player that is very similar to Jaime Jaquez Jr. and could be a great pairing with Triple J in the Heat's wing front court depth chart, if you will, for the foreseeable future. And them working together off the bench would be absolutely fantastic. He's a good catch and shoot 3-point shooter, shot at 39.5% last year. Really good IQ defender, knows how to position himself on the weak side, but can also defend in the isolation setting. He can guard 2 through 4 if you're asking me. Not the best athlete, but just does everything well, man. And I actually am pretty bullish on his playmaking. Kind of was a hub for Colorado at the top of the key, would make good decisions, averaged 2.4 assists last year for the Buffaloes. Number 5, Ron Holland, the forward from the G League Ignite, who actually is higher on my big board than Da Silva and Ware. He's my number 12th overall prospect, but I think Ware and Da Silva are better fits for Miami, which is why he is ranked a little bit lower on my personal Heat big board. 6'6", 6'10" wingspan, an explosive athlete who can just finish around the rim and can finish amongst the trees with some finesse. He would already be one of the best, if not the best, wing defenders in Miami. Year 1. I'm not even kidding. That's how good he is defensively, moving his feet, getting into you, keeping his arms stretched out. He is an elite defender. He's also a good Heat culture fit because of his mentality. He's not shy to take a big shot, make a big play, and he's very confident in himself, which Jimmy Butler would like. Only downside, he can't shoot the ball. Shot 24% from 3, had a lot of bad misses, 20-plus air balls / shots that barely nicked the rim. I question if he can even play in crunch time, at least to this point, because of how bad he is in terms of spacing the floor. Teams will just sag off of him and pretty much double your best players to force him to shoot. But if the Heat developmental system was able to get him to a average 3-point shooter, we're talking about an all-star caliber player in Ron Holland. We're going to go to the G League Ignite once again with my 6th guy, Tyler Smith, someone we have not talked about that much here on the channel, but he is someone that Heat fans will like because of the size he can provide. He measured in at 6'9", with a 7'1" wingspan, and just like his G League Ignite teammate Ron Holland, he's one of the most explosive athletes in this draft. You simply do not want to jump with him when he elevates, whether it be to get a rebound, whether it be coming down the lane for a slam dunk. It is unbelievable how much he was able to finish around the rim. He would be a really good rim or lob protect or lob threat. Jeez, I just combined there. For the Heat on the off ball, he could play that little dunker spot. And I actually like his jumper. Shot 36% from 3. I think it's smooth, no hitch, and I think he can rise above defenders with that standing reach that he possesses at 8'9". He struggled at the combine shooting, but I am a little bit bullish on that ability. Can play the 4, and this wouldn't be a small ball 4. This would be a legit 4. He's almost pretty much the same size as Bam Adebayo. Tyler Smith is someone I'm intrigued in. Kind of comped him to Kelly Oubre Jr. a little bit, and I think Heat fans would like Kelly Oubre on the Heat. What should the Heat draft, though? If you were to pick a position Miami should go out and target, what should it be? Should it be a guard type G if you want it to be a wing type W, or would you rather go with a big/center type those Bs? Number 7, Rob Dillingham, the guard from Kentucky, who's actually my 13th overall ranked prospect, but I just don't love his fit in Miami. I know a lot of Heat fans would welcome Dillingham into the club, and I would welcome him in too. He's one of the best scorers in this draft. He can do it at all 3 levels, and he's one of the best, if not the best, ball handlers as well. He's so shifty, good 3-point shooter, can shoot it off the catch, but specialized in off the dribble 3-point attempts. But he's not afraid to drive inside. Like, he is going to take it and try to finish and get to the rim and put some pressure on you. One of my knocks on him is that he didn't really have that many assists, wasn't the best playmaker at Kentucky, but he was forced into a scoring role off the bench for the Wildcats. The biggest issue I have is that his frame is just really small. 6'1", 6'3" wingspan, 164 pounds. That's not going to cut it, man, and he's going to get hunted relentlessly on the defensive end, and he's going to be ran off the court in late situations in the fourth quarter because of how much they hunt him. I just kind of feel like his ceiling's capped at a 6th man, and if he's able to be a competent off-ball defender, he can be Lou Williams. If he can't, it's like a Bones Highland situation. Jalen Tyson at number 8, the guard/forward for Cal, who has really grown in my big board lately, and I love Jalen Tyson. 23rd overall, still maybe a little bit of reach, but the Heat don't care about reaching. If they like a guy, they like a guy, and it's kind of reported that they do. He's 6'5" with a 6'8" wingspan, averaged 19.6 points per game a year ago, did it all for the Golden Bears. 7 rebounds, 3.5 assists. He's a very skilled scorer who did not settle. He works at his own pace, and what I liked when he was handling the ball in the pick and roll is how patient he was. He had no issue just kind of pausing, floating a little bit through the mid-range area, and exploding to the rim to change up his speed, or pulling up for a jumper, or taking a step back 3. I like what he brings to the table on the offensive side of the floor. My only knock is that he's a little careless with the ball in his hands, had 3.1 turnovers to 3.5 assists. That's not great. The only question as well, too, is can he scale his 3-point shooting? Shot decent at 36%, but his 3-point rate in terms of shooting threes was only 29.1%, which is relatively low. I think Tyson is going to be a really good, number 2, number 3 guy off the bench for a team in the NBA. We're going to go to a center here in Yves Missi, the center from Baylor, who did work out with Miami. He's my 24th overall ranked prospect, and this is someone that could be a good long-term, but also help you in the short-term type pick. Year 1, he would help you off the bench as your backup center who can protect the rim and be really good in the pick and roll, rolling to the rim. He's an excellent lob threat, and he has really strong hands to handle passes in tight windows and catch some tough lobs. He led the Big 12 in dunks last year with 63. And honestly, he has some good ball handling to him. At times, Baylor would get him isolated at the top of the key with a slower big, and trust me, to take him off the dribble, and that's the highest upside with him. He can, and it kind of looks like there is a chance for him to get a little bit of a bag from the free throw line extended, which is something that would be very welcomed for a center. 6'10" with a 7'2" wingspan, so the height is there. Don't know if he could play alongside Bam right away, but if he's able to develop a jumper, maybe, but he didn't really have that at Baylor. 61% free throw shooter, not ideal. Last player we're going to talk about, someone that we haven't had a lot of conversation with at the channel as well, another Baylor Bear, Jacoby Walter, the guard from the Bears. He averaged 14.5 points for them last season. He is my 19th overall player on my big board, and I compare him to Grayson Allen. Yes, you heard that correctly. 6'4" with a 6'10" wingspan. Listen, you guys know how much I love wingspan. +6 is always going to be welcomed in the school of Roley. He has a lot of upside to be a 3-and-D guard in the NBA. He specifically is a three-point shooter. He has to work on taking it to the rack and getting to the mid-range. 57% of his shot attempts last year came from three, but he's a good shooter, man. And even though it says he shot 34% from three, he's a 79% free throw shooter. That tells me that probably will be better in the NBA when he gets more work and gets stronger. So I think that 34% will be much better. And he has the capability of being a really good guard defender as well with that wingspan and athleticism he possesses. So to me, Jacoby Walter is someone that we haven't talked about enough that should get some consideration for Miami at pick 15. Honorable mention. Zach Edey. Had to do it for Major Anthony Nelson, but the center from Purdue is someone that I wouldn't put in my top 10. And realistically, I don't think the Heat should draft him. And I know you guys hate on that in the comments section, and that's all right. You guys have your opinions, I have mine. Like, if the Heat drafted him at 15, I'm not going to hate him. I'm not. Like, some people think I just hate the dude. That's not the case. I will root for Zach Edey like it was Jimmy Butler or Bam Adebayo. That's the type of fan I am. I just think there's better options for Miami at pick 15, but Edey, 7'4", 7'9" wingspan, would give Miami quite a lot of size coming off the bench, something they need, but I just wouldn't want to take a backup center at pick 15. Grade my big board. I just gave you 12 prospects, 10 that I ranked, 1 honorable mention, and 1 that would be a dream scenario for the Heat with Nikola Topic. Grade my big board for the Heat at 15, A, B, C, D, or F. Before we get out of here, some second-round targets that I also wanted to mention, as the Heat do have the 43rd overall pick. These are in order of what I want. Now, all of them will not be available at 43. That's pretty obvious, but if they were taken off the board, this is where things stand. I think Jamal Shead is the best fit for Miami in the second round. Undersized point guard, yes, but he is Heat culture personified. Great leader. I think he's going to be good in the NBA. 6 feet tall, but one of the better attack dogs defensively. I compare him a lot to Davion Mitchell from Baylor, and I think that's something Miami could use off the bench as a defender. Terrence Shannon Jr. is intriguing because of his offensive ability. He averaged 23 last year. Harrison Ingram and Jalen Bridges are both 2 forwards that can play the 3 or 4, space the floor, and rebound. Trey Alexander's a cerebral point guard that I really like with good size that can handle a second unit. Nikola Dursic would be quite the upside pick. I love him. They call him the Serbian Paul George. Keyshawn Johnson is an athletic wing from Arizona that can really do it all. Tristan Newton, combo guard from UConn, rebounds, assists, shoots it, defends. Big fan of him. And then 2 big men to round it out. Quentin Post, the center from Boston College, who shot 43% on 4 attempts last year for the Golden Eagles. He is someone who is 7 feet tall. I'd be very intrigued with Miami taking him at 43, or if he were to somehow slip out and be a UDFA. And then Dem Bana, too, the center from UCLA. Kind of a raw athlete and defender, not going to give you a lot offensively. He's not skilled there, but can finish a dunk in transition, finish a dunk in the pick and roll, and maybe give you some ability to play as a backup center in year 1. All right, that really is going to do it for today's show. Make sure you do follow me over on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff, as I'm talking Heat basketball every day, as well as the NBA draft. So if you want more content surrounding the Heat and want to stay the most informed, listen, this is the best place to do it, because when the Heat make a pick at 15 on Wednesday night, you're going to see it first on our live show, second on my Twitter, and then we're going to come out with a full video breaking down the prospect. So make sure you follow me over on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff. All right, Rolly's big board in the books.
How do you feel about it?
I feel good about my big board. I do. I took a lot of time earlier today putting that together. I have my full 60-player big board already set for the NBA draft. This is how I rank them. But then when you have to take into play how I think they'd fit with Miami, if they were all on the board for the Heat at 15, if all 10 players were there, which is impossible, but if they were, what order would I go through in terms of selecting them? It was tough. It took me some time, but I'm confident in my list, and I don't think that list is going to change either. There's obviously players we didn't talk about that I would take in a heartbeat over some of them, but like I mentioned off the top of the video, that I had to look at the players that could be there, like Dalton Knecht from Tennessee. I love that dude. I want him in Miami. Reed Shepard. They're both going in the top 10. There's no point of me talking about them.
Getting a lot of B's in the chat.
I know. A lot of people think it's just a B, which is fine. I don't expect you guys to all say A. It's my big board. It's not your big board.
But it's weird that it's consensus like this. Like all B's.
Yeah. A lot of B's. Major says top 10, Zach, and Zach. Major Anthony Nelson, the biggest Zach Edey fan of all time.
Confirmed. Shout out to Darian, Pudens, Jay the Fox, Mirage, Jeff, and Axie, and Bad Boy. Shout out to you guys for voting down below.
Oh, man.
And again, just a little reminder here, a little super chat menu.
You tell him, Cullen.
If you want to see me and Rolly get a little rowdy on a Friday, here's what we got. $5 equals 5 push-ups. Me and Rolly will knock those out. $10, shots of tequila. Rolly's got the bottle of Patron over there. I think I got a bottle somewhere near me. We'll take some shots. $20 gets your name on the Heat Report Hall of Fame, which, again, will be a basketball that we'll bring in here whenever it happens, get it signed, and also we'll take a shot. Why not?
Well, we put your name on there. We don't sign it.
Put your name. That's right. I
just wanted to be abundantly clear there.
No, you're right. $50, a beer bong race between me and Rolly. We'll take down a little Merbonga. And how about this, man? $100 down to maybe do a boot today? Maybe $150, $100? Trying to make a deal, man.
You convinced me, Colin.
Okay.
You convinced me.
Okay.
How about this?
Okay.
I'm not even going to say $100 super chat would be a beer boot race. How about $100 total?
$100 total.
Would you be okay with that?
I'm down with that.
Would you be okay with that?
I am down with that.
So hear me out, folks. If we wanted to party on a Friday night, Heat fans, I know y'all know how to party because we had quite a lot of fun during a couple of our watch parties this year. $50 super chats would be 2 beer bong races, but then it would also equal a boot race at the end.
Ooh.
How about that?
I'm down.
That is quite a lot of beers to consume, but I'm in to do it if you are.
I mean, I'm not going to back down from the challenge. I'm just saying that.
Never back down, never what?
Never back down, never what?
Never back down, never what?
So if y'all trying to see it, let us know.
If y'all want to party, or just donate to this channel, that's always appreciated as we look to continue to grow here. Endgame says my board, and I assume this is in order, Ryan Dunn, Kalel Ware, Tyler Smith, Tristan Da Silva, Jalen Tyson, Jacoby Walter, Isaiah Collier, Zach Edey. I don't hate that board. There were some tough omissions from my list. There was. I gave you top 10. It wasn't easy. Isaiah Collier was one of them.
Yeah.
Point guard from USC. He's right there, like 11th or 12th guy. I like him a lot, and I would be ecstatic if Miami picked him at 15. It was a bad. It's like he just can't shoot, and I just don't know if I want an. Well, right now he can't shoot. I don't know if I want an undersized guard that can't shoot at 15. It's kind of how I feel. He just missed my list. Ryan Dunn's a fun name, not 15. If the Heat traded back to 24, say they made a deal with the Knicks, and the Knicks gave him 24 and 25 to move up to 15, I would be very okay taking Ryan Dunn with one of those 2 picks. He is horrific offensively. Terrible. I'm telling you, I'm half kidding here, Cullen. I think Ryan Dunn and myself get into a 3-point shooting contest, I might be able to win.
Oh, shit.
That's how bad this dude is at scoring the basketball and shooting.
I mean, I've never seen you shoot, but...
Well, first of all...
I've never seen you shoot.
I'm a sniper. Sniper gang!
That's funny.
But he is the best defender in the draft. That's the funny thing about Ryan Dunn. It is the extreme. He might very well be, for non-centers, because centers can get rough offensively, for non-centers, so just wings and guards, he could very well be the worst offensive player in this draft, but he is, without a doubt, the best defensive player in the draft.
Interesting.
And it's just if you're comfortable having 4-on-5 offensively, Ryan Dunn's your guy. But if you're also, here's the thing, if you're comfortable having what feels like 6-on-5 defensively, but 4-on-5 offensively, Ryan Dunn's your guy.
Yeah. Yep, I think I saw his highlight page. He's easily the best perimeter defender.
He's very athletic too. He's a good dunker. Yeah. But he just has no ability to do anything else. Jada Fox says, Nick, can you dunk? Depends on the day. There are days where I can dunk. There are days that I can dunk. But my knee I have issues with my knee at times. I have like knee tendonitis since jumper's knee. So if I'm feeling good about my knee, yes, I can throw down a very nice rim grazing dunk. But if my knee's not so good, not so much. I'm 6'2", so I feel like I should be able to dunk, but I've had knee issues my entire life, and yeah, that's what it is. Oh, Darian Green with a first-time Super Chat! Let's go!
Oh.
Shout out Darian Green. We get to open up the new bottle, Patron, baby. $10 Super Chat. It's a super sticker. Sheba Dog shaking his hip saying, thank you. No, thank you, Darian Green, for sending in a first-timer. I always love first-time Super Chats, Colin. I think you've been here for when I say things like this. I was like, if we're entertaining enough or you're happy to be here and sending $10 of your own money to help us grow, and it's your first time ever doing it, like I feel so, it makes me happy.
Yes.
Me and Darian are going to have a bond for the rest of our lives. Shout out to you, Darian.
Salute to you, Mr.
He said toast to Udonis Haslem. Perfect. To Darian Green and to Udonis Haslem. Cheers.
Salud. Unlike a shot of tequila to get the Friday going.
You aren't wrong about that, Cullen. Always kills me. Always kills me. Endgame says, who do you think the pick is? If I had to give my prediction, which is tough because, I got to be honest, I think the Heat are maybe one of the most mysterious teams. But if I had to say, like, I'll be honest here with this prediction that I'm going to give you because I'll give you a name. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's the most likely. Hold on. I was just reading something. All right, about the Heat, so I just had to read this. But if I had to put my money, my life on the line of who I think is the most Heat culture guy, and I'm the most willing to bet on him being there, so the marriage makes the most sense, who do you think I'm going to say? It's someone on my big board.
Okay. So it's... Oh, someone on your big board.
It's someone on my big board.
What's up?
We are a mysterious team, but if I had to put my life and money on a prediction, just based off my knowledge of that I will almost guarantee he will be available to draft, and I know the Heat are interested in this guy, and he would fit Miami quite well, I would put it on this guy. Colin, I want to see who you think.
I'm going to guess... And again, this is just me taking a shot in the dark here. I'm going to say Tristan da Silva.
And you would be absolutely correct.
There we go.
He'd be absolutely correct. He
go.
came in at number 4 on my big board, correct? Da Silva?
Yep.
I just will guarantee, like, if Tristan da Silva is off the board at 15, I would be stunned. I would be absolutely stunned. And I know the Heat have interest in him. I know he fits the mold of players that the Heat like. Older prospect that can do it all, can defend, space the floor, shoot, good IQ. Like, I just feel like the Heat love him. And if he's the pick, I would be happy with it. And he's a very safe pick. I think he's very similar to Jaime Jaquez Jr. And some people might say, well, why would we take 2 Jaimes in a row? Well, you can never have enough Jaimes, right? And you're losing Caleb Martin and maybe Haywood Highsmith in free agency. He'd be a nice replacement.
I've been hanging around Rolly too much, the fact that I knew that right away. Oh, man. Out of your group, who has the most potential to be a star?
Hey, I got a little tidbit on Heat free agency news.
Oh?
Now, this is according to Greg Sylvander.
Okay.
Of 5 Reasons Sports Network, who's just phenomenal at what he does, and I respect 5 Reasons Sports and 5 on the Floor. They do a great job covering the Heat. Great podcast. I listen to them all the time. And you're only getting this live. This won't be going in a segment. I'm not going to make a video about this. So the 67 people watching that like Heat basketball, you're the only 67 that are going to know about what I'm going to say. Greg is kind of reporting, and this is not public knowledge, that he is getting the sense, which means not guaranteed, but getting the sense that Haywood Highsmith may be back with Miami in free agency for taxpayer mid-level-ish money. It's very early in the process, but there might be a little bit of momentum for Haywood Highsmith to be returning to the Heat in free agency.
Interesting.
Let me just make sure. I want to make sure I get the right enough money here. Because that's not the full mid-level. That is the mid-level taxpayer. That would be $5 million, I believe, which to me is a steal if that is the case.
Which, by the way, if you haven't already, give the man a follow down on Twitter.
Yeah.
Down below.
You said taxpayer mid-level. Yeah, that's $5 million. The taxpayer mid-level would be $5.2 million. If you're able to get Haywood Highsmith for $5.2 million, that's just an absolute steal. It is. Highsmith frustrates me at times because he is kind of like a non-factor offensively unless it's a catch-and-shoot three, but he's a good defender, and the Heat are going to need good defenders on the wing, so that would be happy. The Heat can afford $5 million. They can afford $5 million. So I'd be happy with that. I would be happy with that. All right, with that being said, it's time to get into our final segment on the show. Some trade rumors. Paul George, Brook Lopez. Let's talk about them, folks. Let's get into it. I'm Nic Rohloff. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. Happy Sunday to all the Heat fans out there. And as we have a crazy week ahead with the draft and free agency getting started in a week, we have to talk about the latest trade rumors surrounding Miami because, well, there's some out there. But make sure you are following me on Twitter. At Nic_Rohloff is my handle. Daily Heat coverage, Miami Heat news, Heat memes, funny content, analysis as well. To me, I'm one of the better follows out there. Maybe I'm biased, but it is what it is. We just are over 1,000 followers. Make sure you give me a follow if you want to stay locked in with the Miami Heat 24/7, 365. All right, let's get into the first player on today's show, and that is Paul George, the Los Angeles Clippers forward, guard, whatever you want to call him. And this could be a realistic option. Sign and trade, not the case, but maybe now it is. Brian Windhorst reported this a couple days ago, saying that the Clippers have not been willing to meet Paul George's price. He remains unsigned. You can't just look at teams with salary cap space. If Paul George changes teams, it's very likely going to be a situation where he actually opts into his one-year player option contract with $48 million and requests a trade. Well, I'll say this, and I actually think I messed this up. I did mess this up. Bottom of the screen, incorrect. Sign and trade for Miami, unlikely. Not going to happen. Because if they do a sign and trade for the Heat or with Paul George, they get hard capped, and they're not going to do that. But if Paul George opted in to the one-year $48.7 million contract and then the Heat traded for him that way, well, that's a little bit of a different story because all they have to do is match the salaries and it could work, and then they could extend Paul George after the fact. And Paul George is someone that certainly intrigues me because he's been one of the best players in the NBA for his entire career, starting back with the Pacers when he got drafted out of Fresno State. And yeah, it's been very up and down for PG-13 in his Clippers tenure, but people forget, like, he was an MVP candidate in that, I think it was 2019-20 season with the Thunder, and then his Clippers tenure hasn't been the greatest, but he played pretty well last year if you ask me. 22.6 points a game, 3.5 assists, shot very efficient from the field. Like, I liked what he provided for the Clippers when Kawhi Leonard was out of the lineup at times. A lot of people are going to say, though, Paul George is a serial playoff choker. I don't think that's the case. Like, Paul George was an absolute dog for the Indiana Pacers and was battling with LeBron James going head-to-head when he was on the Pacers with Roy Hibbert, David West, and Darren Collison. Like, he was really good, and I get it. That was a long time ago. But I think his struggles in the postseason have been overblown. Like, as a career playoff player where he's had tons of experience playing at almost 1.5 seasons, he's averaging 21 a game, shooting 42% from the field, and 35% from three. Like, I think the playoff like risers or different breeds. Like, these are normal playoff stats for a player of Paul George's caliber. And to me, I think he's just the perfect third option for the Miami Heat. Like, he can be your leading ball handler in the backcourt because he has taken a ball handling and playmaking role for Los Angeles. Yes, James Harden did a good bulk of it, but Paul George does it a good portion of the times as well. So you get him in the backcourt who can play on ball. He can play off ball as well. I think it makes a lot of sense. He also is a good two-way player, which is part of the reason why I love Paul George. Like, you would have a good two-way guard in Paul George with size. You'd have a good two-way forward in Jimmy Butler, and you have arguably the best two-way center in the NBA in Bam Adebayo. Like, you would have good defense. You would add another scorer, someone who could create for themselves as well as others. To me, it kind of makes sense if it's on the table, and Miami can do it financially, and Pat Riley and Mickey Harrison are okay with pulling that trigger. So I'm going to have a trade idea in just a second here, but let me know, would you do a trade for Paul George? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Let me know. My trade idea, if they did make this deal, it actually works out pretty perfectly, which I didn't plan on it, but it does. The Heat get Paul George, obviously, and what they would have to give up. And it's not a sign-and trade, so I want to make that abundantly clear. He's opting in and then getting traded. The Clippers are getting Tyler Hero, they're getting Duncan Robinson, and they're getting the 15th pick from the Miami Heat. Now, that could be before the draft, on draft night, if Paul George opted in before that, or it could just be whoever the Heat pick with that 15th overall selection. But the reason why this works perfectly is I mentioned Paul George's one-year contract if he opted in, which is $48 million. You know what Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson's contracts for 24, 25 come out to be? $48 million. Works out pretty damn nicely if you're Miami, with Hero making 29 and Duncan making 19. So, like, you have the salary to match with those two guys, and then you could just throw in the draft capital needed, which I don't think it would actually be that much, because George, who is 34, wanting a big contract, the Clippers might opt to say, hey, we'll take a couple solid role players to maybe help Kawhi Leonard, James Harden a little bit more. Maybe the Clippers do it, but if Paul George is requesting a trade and the market isn't crazy for PG-13, I think Miami might be able to get it done with this type of deal. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because, well, if something like this does happen, we'll be going live and breaking down everything that happened in that specific trade, or if there's just more rumors on the matter, we'll have it, as well as the news coming throughout this week in free agency and the draft. Lock us in here at the Heat Report because we'll be the best place to find Heat content on YouTube. All right, there was another guy that we have to talk about in the thumbnail and title of today's show. Brook Lopez, the center from the Brooklyn Nets. Someone that I've always thought would be a perfect fit in Miami. Well, maybe now is the time where the Heat can trade for him. Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer reported that Brook Lopez could be on the move, saying that there are rumblings that the Bucks would like to play a more versatile style of defense next season, which raises the question of whether Brook Lopez has a future there. And he's also not the only person to say that. Brian Windhorst of ESPN said on Friday that Doc Rivers will change up this roster. They'll keep Dame, they'll keep Giannis, but they might change up the players around them. And if Brook Lopez is a casualty, bring me Brook Lopez to Miami, please and thank you. We've often talked about size that Miami needs to add, and I have agreed with you. Many of you have said it needs to be Zach Edey. That's where I disagree, but keeping it on this point, Brook Lopez fits with the Heat because he can space the floor and play alongside Bam while giving the Heat good rebounding and size. Look at Brook Lopez's last two seasons. And I specifically chose these 2 years because the year prior to 22-23, he did not play in many games due to injury, and he has reinvented himself and reinvented the wheel for his career. He has averaged 16 points, 12.5, 6.7, 5 rebounds, but also has been one of the best rim protectors in the entire NBA, averaging 2.5 blocks each of the last 2 seasons. And going back to 22-23, he finished on the first team all-defensive team as one of the top 5 guys, but was also second second in Defensive Player of the Year voting. He was an elite rim protector 2 seasons ago. So you're getting defense, you're getting size, but you're also getting a three-point shooter. You saw the numbers on screen. He shot 37% and 36% from three on a decent amount of attempts. He has reinvented himself from his previous days with the Lakers, with the Brooklyn or New Jersey Nets, I think he was with them in New Jersey, to where the point where he is a 3-and-D spacing big. Not the most athletic, doesn't move that well, but can absolutely protect the rim and box some guys out underneath, hanging with the big fellas like a Jonas Valanciunas, a Rudy Gobert. And it would allow Bam to be the versatile defender that he is, switching everything and wreaking havoc on opposing teams while playing his most natural position at the 4 and allowing him to work at the 15-foot elbow range and work on his three-point shot as well. Brook Lopez is someone, if he's available, I would be all in on doing. Let me know, though, should the Heat trade for Brook Lopez? If you're with me and say yes, type T for trade. If you're against me and type P for pass. I understand he's 36, only 1 year left on his contract. I think it could be worth it, though. And let's continue the conversation on his three-point shooting, because just a year ago, his numbers, according to league average, are spectacular. From the right corner three ball, he shot 47%. Which is 8% better than the league average. Right wing shot a little bit below average. It was also where he took the most amount of threes. Top of the key, just below league average once again, was above league average in left wing three-pointers, and was okay from the left corner three. But he did most of his work from the top of the key to the right side of the court. And I've already mentioned it in terms of the functional size and the versatility, and this is the type of size I want. I kind of already went through my whole spiel of why he works alongside Bam, so I'm not going to try to continue and double down on that. You guys heard my spiel. This is the type of size Miami needs, where they can get rim protection and rebounding, but also three-point shooting alongside Bam Adebayo. The one tricky thing is that it's kind of a tough trade, and I'll tell you why here. Brook Lopez makes $23 million. That's 1 year on his deal. He's 36. He's an older guy, so he's got 1-2 seasons left in him tops. The Heat really have no one that can match his salary unless you're sending Terry Rozier for him, which I am not. You can send Duncan Robinson, but you also have to somehow trade like Orlando Robinson to match salary, because you can't take in 5 more, which is how much Brook Lopez makes more than Duncan. So you have to get creative, and maybe you do this 3-team deal, where you are trading Tyler Hero and you're trading Duncan Robinson, but it's a 3-team deal where Brooklyn gets involved. The Nets have always wanted Tyler Hero. They've always liked him. So they finally get him. The Bucks get Day'Ron Sharpe and Duncan Robinson. So they get their center that is younger and maybe more versatile than Brook Lopez at this point in his career. They also get a shooter to space the floor with with Giannis and Damian Lillard. And the Heat get Brook Lopez to get that center to start next to Bam Adebayo. But the Heat get a couple picks, because Tyler Hero is more valuable than Brook. He's younger. He's a better player now. So you're not trading him. But getting rid of both of these guys would net you a first-round pick in 2029, which is via the Dallas Mavericks. It's coming from Brooklyn. You get a second-round pick from the Bucks, which is 33 in this year's draft, and you get Brook Lopez. So you get a couple picks to help you make other deals or just add more talent. And you get your starting center. It's a tough deal to make. I like Brook Lopez a lot. I want him in Miami. But because of how difficult the trade is, I would understand why people wouldn't want to do it, because it would be so tricky financially. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. Make sure you are following me over on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff is my handle. We're going to have a lot of news and rumors coming out this week around the draft and free agency. So don't miss a thing. Follow me, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video. Go Heat. All right.
Destin says, terrible idea. I'd rather have Edey instead of Lopez. Edey is a real functional size. What he says.
Listen, like I said, I understand if that trade is something you don't want to do. It was hard for me to put together. But you get 2 picks, you get Brook Lopez. I don't know, people hate Tyler Hero. You're flipping him for a center that can do everything you're asking. You're also getting 2 picks just outside the first round this draft and a future first that could help you do a different deal. I get losing both Hero and Duncan could not be ideal, but in an underrated part of that deal that I should have probably mentioned, Colin, you're freeing up $30 million in cap space.
Yep.
Well, about 25. Like, that's another thing. Like, Hero makes 29, Brook makes 23, so you free up 6. But you're also shutting Duncan's contract, which is 18, 19. So you're freeing up $25 million in cap space, which you can then use to either re-sign Caleb Martin, Haywood Highsmith, or sign a shooter in free agency to replace Duncan Robinson. Like, there's different things that come into play rather than just the raw value. Like, sure, are the Heat losing in player value? Yes. Shipping out Hero and Duncan for just getting Brook Lopez in return, probably not the best idea. But you get a future first-round pick to help you build your draft capital up in case an all-star, all-NBA guy comes available again, or make a deal now. And then you also get $25 million in cap space to add shooting and depth to this roster. Like, there's other factors in play.
There are.
Yeah, I get it. I feel like that spiel I just made might have changed some of your guys' opinions. Like, yes, we are losing three-point shooting and we are losing player value in that last trade I showed for Brook Lopez. But you could gain it in totality after making a trade with the picks you get in a separate deal and having $25 million more in cap space. Like, I don't know. I don't expect everyone to want to do that trade, but there's more pros than there are cons. Like, you guys are making it up to be.
A lot of support for Duncan is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, like, Duncan played well last year. Give him credit. Like, he re-improved his stock in a lot of Heat fans' eyes. That's for sure. That's for sure. Jay Wade asked, do we keep Terry this summer? I think so. You traded for him. He actually was pretty good down the stretch, like he was. Before he got the neck injury, he was playing elite basketball, shooting 40% from 3, 47% from the field, averaging 20-plus a game. Like, He was great, man.
Interesting. I understand wanting to keep your own too, but at some point you have to evolve your team a little
Got to
bit.
shift the roster around, Colin.
You do.
Got to do it.
Just want to throw up.
The Duncan Bam chemistry is great. That's the one thing that sucks that you'd lose. But I also grow tired of Duncan at times. Like, I like him when he makes his threes. He's awesome. But you could say that about anyone. But if he doesn't hit his 3-point shots, he's unplayable. Like, yeah, he has big time gravity from opposing defenses, but what he brings to the table defensively is non-existent. Not at all.
You're not wrong.
All right, we'll give it 2 minutes, Cullen. We said if we get to $100, beer boot race. Because of my guy Dorian, we're at $10. Darian, excuse me. Is there a way we can combine for 90? You know what? I'll even say this, Colin. $50 beer bong race, that's just combined. Let's combine it. If we can combine as a group for $50, we'll do a beer bong race. $50 combined as a team, beer bong race, $100 beer boot race. See if we can get a little party started on a Friday afternoon.
Like I said, I got the timer going right here. It's up to y'all. Up to y'all.
Skyler says he improved defensively, but if you improve from being the worst defender in the NBA to still a below average defender, does that change anything? Like, he's still a below average defender. And I don't think that's debatable. Appreciate the follows from Dave and Javier.
Bang, bang, bang.
This is fucking hilarious.
Got a minute left, Joel.
Minute left. Are we going to see a super chat?
Yeah. Got people knocking at the door for studio space, man. But if we get super chats, we can keep the lights on.
Oh, my God. The Heat just put out a tweet 9 minutes ago talking about Patty Mills. If he is on the roster next year, I'm going to lose it. If he's on the roster, it better damn be as like a leadership role, not to ever fucking play.
Yeah.
If he plays basketball, that can't happen.
Right.
I know, Jay the Fox. Can't do it, man. We're out of time, Colin.
We are. Hold on. Timed out.
Time's out. That's good to do it. Our first ever live show that isn't for a game or breaking news situation in the books. Appreciate Darian Green for the $10 super chat. Appreciate the 850 people that tuned in on this Friday afternoon. Hey, just let me know if you want us to do more of these. If so, maybe we'll get them in the cards. Maybe. I will say it's going to be difficult because I'm pretty sure I'm off next Friday. And, no, I'm in Friday. Maybe we'll go live next Friday. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. All right, appreciate everyone who tuned in throughout the day. For Cullen, this is Nic Rohloff. Go Heat. Peace out.